Welcome everyone again, and let's say we're grateful again for the Lord continue to give us an opportunity to glorify Him through the game of football. First, I want to say last week's game. I want to say thank all of the great fans that we had. Another great showing, great enthusiasm, great energy that we had that helped us to get our victory, and we appreciate our fans' tremendous support. The positives, we scored in our last four ball games, or first four ball games of the season. We at least scored one touchdown in the fourth quarter, and that was something we have spoken to our team and to our players. Obviously, on the offensive side, things that the previous 2 years, we were not very consistent. Really, we had not scored any touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and so I'm very proud that we have improved in that area in the first four ball games. Obviously, we are very grateful for Hagan and Woodrum being the Big South Offensive Player of the Week and also the Defensive Player of the Week. We've had four players in 4 weeks to receive that honor, so it's great exposure for us, and it's great for our program and great for our football team. Other thing is positive that we are second in the nation in defense yards allowed by our defense. I think it's about 107 yards. Again, great job here has been as far as averaging only 107 yards that we've given up from our defense. Other thing is number 2 in the nation, Darren Peterson, in receiving yards per game is what he's done. And then as you can look at some of the games, there's been some other opportunities that we actually have had, and we didn't get those things done. But, again, great job by him and really our offensive line and everybody included. When an individual gets awards, it's really a team award. Now more specific about Indiana State. Mike Sanford, I do know him a little bit. We've had a chat or two doing some coaching conventions and talking about football and about life, being a head football coach and all those kind of things. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. I know he's a great teacher, excellent teacher of the game of football, and particularly with the offensive side, particularly with the quarterback. So I do have a great respect for him. His football team has definitely improved from last year in every phase. Special teams, offense, defense, and probably the number one reason is really more important is their quarterback. They lost him last year, and he's back this year, and he's playing tremendous football for them. Defensively, they're a 3-4 scheme. I know Brian Cabral faced him quite a bit. He was at the University of Colorado for a long time, so got a chance to see him quite a bit as being at Nebraska and playing against Colorado. A lot of times. Their defense efficiency, they're 5th in the country as far as in the passing defense efficiency that they are doing. They're also 5th in the nation in red zone defense. So they're doing a lot of good things on that side. Now also the offensive side, they're a multiple facet offense. They somewhat similar to us as they'll do 2 back, they'll go 1 back, they'll move people around and do all different types of formation. Their passing offense, they're 10th in the country, 280 yards per game. The one biggest stat that really is an eye-opening, because I had to go through every game. I wanted to double-check it to make sure it was actually correct. No turnovers. They have not had any turnover on offense. And in 4 ball games, that's a tremendous – we all have that goal for 0, but to accomplish after 4 ball games, you got to tip your hat off to their coaches and their players to not have any turnovers. So they're 4th in the country with turnover margin. I think they have also 7. They've gotten 7 turnovers as far as from their defensive side of the ball. And lastly here, individually more, Mike Parrish, as I mentioned before, the quarterback, he's 6th in the country in passing yards. So we got our work cut out against Indiana State, which is a very good football team. Injuries there, Will Johnson is probable. Garrett Long, he's probable. Is really about all on the injury report. And then here are kind of my 3 or 4 things and the keys to for us to be successful this week. It's no question the turnover is always going to be there. So I mentioned that the turnover margin, we got to win that. We got to win the special teams. I want us to. We've talked about it, and we've kind of been like a yo-yo on the special teams. Some good things, so not so good things. And so hopefully we can have a complete game in this game, because that's going to be very, very crucial. We give up some opportunities against this football team, and it's going to be very difficult to overcome. Penalties, they're a team that has had quite a few penalties. We kind of had this one last game that was a little tough on us. So I think the penalty is going to be a very important phase that we win that part of the game is have the least amount of penalties in this game. Then the last thing I think is going to probably be a deciding factor. Whoever can run the ball the best is going to have a greater chance to win the football game. They have not been able to run the ball as well as probably they would liked, and we've kind of been pretty good here lately to running the football pretty good. So I think if either one of the teams can have a greater edge in running the football, then they're going to have a whole lot better chance of winning the game. Open up to some questions.
Parrish looks like he's about the same size as Josh. I mean, is he the same sort of quarterback? Does he run a little bit, or is he basically more of just kind of a drop-back guy that gets –
Oh, he's a drop-back guy. I'm not going to say he can't run or won't run. He does. They run some draws. They're not going to do a whole lot of that, but you do see him running a certain draw play. They don't do the zone read. At least they haven't shown at this point in time. But he can throw the ball. He throws the ball on time. He knows where he's going with the ball. You can see how he's been coached and taught. He reads defenses, and he knows pre-read and post-read where he's going with the football. And he puts the ball in there, throws the ball down the field, and throws out routes. He throws all the routes that you want a quarterback to throw, and then he's been very good at it.
Not a ton for them as far as the run game goes. Is it more that they've relied more on their passing game and just haven't tried to run it as much, or have they genuinely struggled there from what you've seen?
You know, again, I don't know all the specific percentages, but I'd say they're probably going to be a pass first and then run. But they're going to do both. They're probably 60-40 pass as far as what I would just say in general of what they do. And they throw the ball well. They got a really good receiver. I think he's over 100 yards per game that they kind of go to and get the ball to him. They got a very good tight end, a second leading receiver. He's very athletic. So they got some talent. They do have some talent. And the quarterback now, I think having him on the team this year, you can see a big difference in their football team, particularly on the offense, but it also carries over on the defensive side.
You've seen kind of three run-heavy teams the last couple of weeks. I mean, you feel like your secondary is prepared for this test?
Oh, yeah. Well, last week, Bryant was similar to this team. They were more of a 60-40 pass-oriented. So I think that we're prepared. We played North Carolina. They were more of a pass team, too. I know we didn't hold them down as well, but our guys are prepared. Again, we feel like we were prepared. We'll have a good game plan. And now it's a matter of who's going to be able to execute the best.
Do you feel like they have played as strong of a defense as you will present them this weekend?
Well, they played two FBS schools. I guess I can't sit here and say comparable to Ball State, comparable to Indiana. I would think that they're very, very good in the talent that they have and the scholarships that they have and all that. So they have faced two pretty good football teams, I think offense and defense, and they've held their own. They lost to Indiana 28-10, so they were in the ball game throughout the game. Obviously, they did a great job against Ball State on the road. Tennessee Tech beat them last year, but again, last year against Tennessee Tech, the FCS school, they didn't have their quarterback, and this year they did, and they beat them up pretty good. So again, I think they're a good football team, and I think they have played against some good opponents.
They are coming off that win over Ball State, but they had a week off. Will you address the team about starting fast, being that Indiana State had an extra week to prepare for you all?
Well, we're always going to talk about that no matter what the situation is with the opponent that we're playing. Again, I guess when the people have a bye week, off week, as far as not playing the game, there's probably going to be one or two wrinkles. Probably one or two things could be on special teams, offense and defense that we haven't seen. When you get that extra week, they usually do a little bit of something adjustment. So we just got to read our keys, do what we got to do on front of offense, defense, and special teams, be prepared for it, and react to it in a positive way. So our guys will be ready to play. We're ready to play the game, and our guys are excited for another opportunity to play against a good opponent.
You're giving up over 200 yards rushing. Is that an area that you feel pretty good about your run game here after the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I feel good about it. I feel very good about it. Very good about our offensive line. They've taken on the challenge. Running backs have really done a great job of running through contact. They've taken care of the ball here in the last three ball games, so we feel good about it. Again, we want to run the ball. Again, we like to mix it up. We're probably the other way around, 60-40, run the ball as far as that goes, but we know we're capable of throwing the football if we need to.
Probably halfway through last year, Jacob really started playing at this ridiculously high level in terms of creating turnovers and causing havoc that way. I mean, What was it that clicked at that point for him, and how has he been able to carry that over?
Oh, I remember seeing him as far as on the interception side of things. He was going on the jug machine and catching the ball after practice and making sure when the ball have an opportunity to do that. Then he's worked a little bit extra late after practice as far as being able to cover from sideline to sideline, running those kind of drills. And then I think just the technique of tackling, watching the game and improving on his skills, and then more comfortable with our defense. Really spent a lot of time behind the scenes learning what our scheme is, and now being involved in it for 3 years. Everything is slowed down for him, and now he's reacted in a fast way. So he's worked at it. I've seen him being very diligent and trying to become the best football player they can be in the country, and not just the best football player as a safety on our football team.
Coach, moving away from week 1 in Chapel Hill, what do you make of the improved passing game the last 3 weeks?
Great focus. I know that the receivers, obviously we were all disappointed I think we had 7, 8 drops in that game, and we had turned the ball over. And so I think a lot of guys, they did some more extra work. Again, on Mondays is our day off. Again, they chose on their own. A lot of guys came on their own to work on catching the ball and throwing the ball there with our quarterbacks and receivers. And everybody were very diligent in making sure that we get it all corrected. And, again, I always talk about you got to have hard work. You can't be relaxed. Not to say they were not. I got to give some credit to North Carolina. They called some of those things, but some of those things that we could take care of. So, again, get a lot of credit to our coaches and, more importantly, our players.
I saw you made some changes to the depth chart in the kick return game. Was that just Zach just having trouble with mentally figuring out when to take it out, when to not take it out?
I don't know if it was just the one time. It's just kind of been over a 2 or 3 game period. So I'm not going to say just because of one play he had there to make a decision, to make a change. And, again, we talk about it's either got to be the scheme we got to change or it got to be personnel when things are not going the way we want it to go. And so we decided at this point in time that we're going to make a change in the kickoff return and give somebody else an opportunity. So, again, he can learn from it. I'm not going to say he may never be there again, but we decided to make a change here going into this ball game.
Just to follow up on that, what did you see from Alpha when he obviously had a nice return there in the second half?
Well, he's always been our backup guy, so we just try to make a change there. Good job by him catching the ball and making some good decisions for it, hitting the crease and get it. Again, he got to take care of the ball too. They don't like the part at the end of the play where the ball came loose. So, again, we'll work on that and making sure he gets that all situated too in the right way.
Staying with special teams, Lunsford hits the 57-yarder, then missed the shorter one. Just kind of pushed that second one, and overall, what did you think of him Saturday?
Well, he pushed it. I just say he missed it. I can. We look at the tape and say what the specifics were, why he missed it, whether it was a snap, whether it was a hole, whether it was a kicker. Again, you can always sit here and say it was something, but bottom line is you got to make the field goal. So I think overall, a great accomplishment of kicking a 57-yard field goal. That's a great accomplishment. But we want more consistency out of him, whether it's a 50-yarder, whether it's a 40-yarder or a 20-yarder, whatever it is. We got to be a higher percentage than being 50%, and whether it's 50-50, whether you're going to make it or not, whether it's from the 20 yards or 50 yards.
Coach, no turnovers in 4 games. That is very amazing. Does that have your defensive coaches and players kind of foaming at the mouth, anxious to lay at least a few turnovers on those guys this week?
Well, you never can know how turnovers are going to occur. Sometimes you can cause a fumble, but it tells you that they are very, very secure in taking care of the football. And so we still got to get caught up in just to do our deal. Don't get caught up in trying to make a turnover, because sometimes you may overdo something and then you give up a big play. But, again, our guys are well-tuned. Our defense is very good. And, again, we got guys going to making big hits, and sometimes they're going to cause something. But, again, you got to give them a lot of credit, and hopefully that doesn't continue one more game at least as far as them taking care of the ball.
To go back to special teams, was there a common thing that you saw in the 2 games where you gave up the long kickoff return to Brevard and then the long kickoff turn to Bryant?
Well, we're the kick placement, location of the kick. That's the number one thing that starts off. We tell them to kick it to a certain spot, and anytime the ball's hash to hash or anywhere between there, it's not good. You're going to be more susceptible for a return, a better return from the kickoff return team. So it starts with our kicker. Again, we've had 2 different guys, and neither one of them have done the proper thing at this point in time. All we can do is continue to work on it and try to get that improved and making sure we put the ball in the right place. And guy got to get off some blocks. We had one person had an opportunity to make the play and didn't make it. but it starts with our kicker.